The rioters were about to throw Molotov cocktails, but the police decisively opened fire, hitting their targets with precision. Countless rioters flooded the streets, specifically hunting down isolated foreigners. This man, who was frantically fleeing for his life, had been sent here for work by his company. He saw his colleague being captured by the rioters. The man was terrified and turned to run, but unfortunately, he was spotted by the rioters. He quickly climbed a ladder to the rooftop, smashed a window, and escaped into a hotel. He took the elevator back to his room and found his wife, but was horrified to discover that his eldest daughter was missing. His younger daughter said she was swimming in the pool, so the man told his wife to lock the door tightly, and he took a map and went to the pool via a shortcut. Finally, he found his daughter, but at the same time, he saw rioters slaughtering innocent people. The man quickly used a lifebuoy to jam the door, temporarily stopping the rioters. Then he picked up his daughter and prepared to return to the room, but suddenly, the man returned to the room with his daughter, then took his family to the rooftop. Many foreigners who were being hunted had gathered there, and when the man looked down, he saw a dense crowd of rioters, shouting that they would kill them. Suddenly, a helicopter appeared. They all thought it was a rescue team, but as it flew closer, the man's expression became serious, because he saw a ferocious face, and the automatic rifle in his hand. This wasn't a rescue, but a massacre. But suddenly, the helicopter's tail rotor was entangled in power lines, and it crashed onto the rooftop. In the violent explosion, the rioters' lives ended, but another group of rioters stormed onto the rooftop, starting the next round of slaughter. The man took his wife to the edge of the rooftop. Although terrified, she started running at full speed, then leaped, jumping to the opposite rooftop. Then, seeing the rioters approaching, he threw his younger daughter across as well. The daughter was thrown across the air onto the rooftop. Then the man was about to throw his eldest daughter over, but she was so frightened that she clung tightly to her father. Finally, she barely managed to save her life. The thugs rushed towards them and began indiscriminately killing innocent people. He had no choice but to tie his daughter securely and throw her across again. Finally, the man leaped across and successfully landed. He looked back, and a thug almost shot him. He had to roll to the next floor and bring his family over, but then the man saw the thugs driving a tank. He quickly rushed into the office floor and warned everyone to escape quickly. Meanwhile, the tank aimed at this location. Everyone rushed to escape, but the man found a hidden space and let his family hide inside. Then he pulled a dead body over to block the entrance. Soon the thugs broke into the floor and massacred the survivors. This family, due to their hidden location, was able to survive. After the thugs left, the man found a motorcycle key. Then he looked downstairs and saw 4 people tied up on the ground by the thugs. Immediately, a truck drove by and ran them over. At the same time, the daughter found the embassy's location on a map. Suddenly, there was a strange noise. Turning around, they saw a lone thug. The thug immediately called for backup. The man rushed over and tackled the thug, grabbing a table lamp and smashing it at the thug. He quickly killed him. Then he went to the parking lot and compared the keys one by one. Finally, he found the motorcycle. The family covered themselves completely and drove the motorcycle to the embassy. But a group of thugs appeared ahead. The man drove straight towards the thugs, keeping his head down as much as possible. Finally, they luckily escaped. Soon the family arrived at their destination. There were roadblocks protecting the area. It looked very safe. The man climbed over the roadblock, but all he saw were corpses everywhere. And when he looked towards the embassy, he saw a scene of despair. Thugs poured out of the embassy. They saw the man trying to draw his gun to shoot, but then an explosion reduced the embassy to ruins. The man seized the opportunity to escape and found his frightened family. Meanwhile, the thugs were also searching for them. The man kicked open a door and sought refuge from the homeowner. The old man told them to hide in the bushes. Soon the thugs arrived. They didn't believe the old man's story and began a thorough search. The man noticed someone had left a gun lying around. The opportunity was right in front of him, so he secretly approached the thugs, but accidentally made a sound, attracting the thugs' attention. But just then, his wife shouted, attracting the thugs' attention. The man seized the opportunity to attack the thugs and successfully snatched the rifle.
Hey! Fuck it! Hey!
Ultimately, the man was easily subdued by the thugs, but suddenly the bearded man who had helped him earlier appeared, pretending to negotiate with the thugs.
2 and 6!
The betraying thug took off his mask. It turned out he was actually an undercover agent. They immediately left the area. The bearded man took them to a safe house and provided them with food. The man was very grateful to him, but he said, "You don't have to thank me." They now had to cross the border and seek refuge in the neighboring country. Meanwhile, the thugs discovered them. The bearded man decided to draw fire himself, allowing the family to escape. Soon, he was unfortunately shot, and his companion was also shot in the head and killed. Finally, he couldn't hold on any longer. The man wanted to take him along, but the bearded man refused. Seeing the thugs approaching, he had no choice but to continue fleeing, and in his last moments, the bearded man made this choice. The man prepared to cross the border by boat, but was unfortunately caught by the thugs. He handed the gun to the girl, threatening her to kill her father with her own hands. But at the critical moment, the wife appeared and turned the tide. Ultimately, the thugs were wiped out. They finally boarded the boat and sailed towards the border, but the border guards on the other side shouted at them, forbidding them from crossing the borderline. At the same time, a group of thugs was gathering on the shore, watching them menacingly. But dramatically, when the boat crossed the borderline, the soldiers on the other side immediately turned their guns.
This boat is now in Vietnamese waters. If you shoot, we will consider this an act of war.
Faced with the oppression of the regular army, the thugs had no choice but to leave the border dejectedly. Finally, they left here by boat under the escort of the soldiers, completely ending this nightmare. What kind of deep-seated hatred would cause a woman to inflict such a cruel act on him? It turned out that Rose was a recent college graduate. A small advertisement on the street caught her attention, claiming to offer free photo shoots. Without thinking, she contacted the person. The person asked to see some photos, so Rose sent her favorite one. Unexpectedly, the person only glanced at it and then told her to come for a test shoot. The next day, Rose arrived at the destination. The studio was run by 3 brothers. At first, the 3 of them were very enthusiastic, but the eldest brother suddenly suggested that Rose should be more open, because that would make it easier to gain more recognition. But Rose refused. Seeing this, the second brother cursed her for being a prude, so Rose decisively chose to leave. However, a few days later, the youngest brother suddenly knocked on her door. He used the excuse of delivering photos to try to win Rose over. At night, Rose was awakened by a noise and discovered the youngest brother secretly taking pictures of her. She loudly ordered the youngest brother to leave, but the youngest brother had no intention of leaving. Rose quickly pulled out a stun gun and knocked him down. Just as Rose was about to escape, she was caught by the youngest brother, who covered her mouth. A strong man downstairs heard the noise and rushed up to investigate. The strong man saw Rose and tried to help, but was ambushed and knocked unconscious by the youngest brother. Only then did the youngest brother realize he had killed someone. He quickly called the eldest brother, and the 2 of them came. The eldest brother used a sedative to knock Rose unconscious and took her away. When Rose woke up again, she was locked in a basement. She not only suffered inhumane torture, but was also constantly given sedatives. Rose could only helplessly scream for help. At this moment, she saw a window on the wall. An escape plan formed in her mind. This was the second day Rose was held captive by the pervert. The pervert brought her sexy pajamas. Unexpectedly, Rose was prepared. She knocked him unconscious with a bucket. Rose escaped through the window. It was freezing outside, covered in snow and ice. Rose, wearing only a thin dress, had bare ankles. Passers-by thought she was crazy. Fortunately, the police understood English and took her to the police station. It was then that Rose realized she had been kidnapped out of the United States by the perverts. At this moment, a woman named Anna came in, claiming to be the president of a women's aid organization and that she could help her. Anna showed the scars on her hands, saying that she had also suffered torture from perverts. Therefore, Rose trusted her completely. She begged Anna to take her to the American embassy. However, in the car, Anna said that her house was very close to the embassy and that she could give Rose some down jackets and food first. Rose agreed. As soon as she arrived at Anna's house, Anna said the clothes were in the basement. When Rose went down to look, she realized she had been tricked.
Welcome back.
Rose was imprisoned again, and this time, not only did the 3 perverts assault her, but even their father, John, subjected her to inhumane torture. John walked out of the basement with a satisfied look on his face. Rose was already mentally disoriented from the torture, but the leaders still wouldn't let her go. These perverts dug a deep pit, then put Rose in a box and buried her. Just when Rose thought she was about to die, the box suddenly sank, falling into the sewer. She dragged her injured body, surviving on disgusting, moldy food. She was lucky enough to find a church. The priest gave her food and clothes. Rose arrived at the embassy gate, but she didn't go in, because there was something more important to do: revenge.